has something like a charisma to him, an attractiveness. He's charming.
Very personal. He's very friendly. He gets along with all the staff.
He's really calm. He pays attention to detail. And I think you don't see that in many technicians when you come up. So
his humility and his drive to improve patient safety, his ability to communicate with nurses.
I think really education is the key to my success. Without education, I wouldn't be here today.
Salim takes a very strong ownership in his role, and I've noticed that from the beginning.
And if you know the history of Salim, Salim's truly a self-made person. He left Lebanon as a very young teenager, basically coming over to America, knowing next to nothing English.
But I think it's intriguing where he's come from and the way he grew up and experienced life.
I was 15 or 16 years old. I was drafted in the Christian militia, and we basically spent many days in the shelter because of the bombs. So I didn't have the opportunity to get proper education, and I never finished high school. So when I arrived here, I was removed from all those distractions, from the war, from the bombs, from the threats that the war brought, and I had a chance to actually be able to learn.
In Michigan, I met Salim through University of Michigan. He's been here really since 90s, early 90s. Started working at biomedical engineering in '88, and that's when Salim started in '90 at biomedical engineering.
And so I had the pleasure of actually starting his training because he started being a technician on the afternoon shift. And Salim's, in anything in life, he's very dedicated. He was interested in learning everything, and very patient person. It makes it a pleasure to work with somebody when they care about what they do.
I started working in clinical engineering. Part of my main function was to review patient safety report forms. That was my first introduction to patient safety relating to technology. After doing that for approximately a year, a little bit over a year, I realized that I needed to know a lot about this patient safety field. I felt this is another hill to climb. This is where I need to go next.
He went to Lebanon to take care of his family, and that's part of the passion of Salim. He's very dedicated. He's very loyal.
When the call came in, I had to take a leave of absence and go.
I met Salim through his brother, who was dating my sister at the time, and he didn't have much friends because he lived here for a long time. So he used to go out with his brother. They used to visit us. This is how he was introduced to me. He used to come over to see my sister, and then we used to hang out together while the others were together. And we had a double wedding. Two brothers married two sisters at the same time. It was a huge wedding. We've been together for 20 years now. We have two children, Mateo and Mia.
As a person, Salim is very honest and straightforward, which I appreciate. There's no guessing what's on his mind. And if I need his advice, he's right there with it every time.
And he's one of those unique and wonderful people who you can just ask, Salim, we need your help. Salim, will you write this? Salim, will you show up at this meeting? And he always says yes.
If you approach him with something, he will take some time, he will listen to you, understand what you are asking, and then he will find an answer for it.
Salim is really accessible, and he's able to quickly understand the urgency with which we need to investigate.
One of the things about Salim is anytime he dedicates to something, he's passionate. And that's something you can always say with everything he has ever been in, from martial arts to photography.
He went to Lebanon to be with his family where we met, and then he wanted to introduce Aikido to the Lebanese public. So he started with two students, and then few years later, he created the federation, the Lebanese Aikido Federation, and then it grew from 2 students to 500 students and several schools. It was a lot of work, but it was very successful. He's a legend there, to be honest with you. Like, they talk about Salim Kai equals Aikido.
And years ago, one of our other technicians, there was an old show called Kung Fu. And there was the master and the grasshopper. So where the grasshopper had reached his maturity was you had to snatch a pebble from the master's hand. And one of our technicians challenged Salim into saying that that's not real, that doesn't happen in real life. So he put a quarter in his hand and Salim made real good eye contact with him. And Salim just reached over when they were looking at each other and snatched the quarter out of his hand as he was closing his hand, and he was smiling, laughing, and said, "See, I told you it couldn't happen." And Salim held up the quarter and said, "Is this what you're looking for?" And so that was one of the funniest, if you're old enough to remember Kung Fu, that was a real funny story.
The future hold, I hope, lots of good things. I see him being a leader in patient safety.
I think I see him really sharing his knowledge.
And so he represents us, represents the entire institution, represents the department, and he just does a wonderful job. I'm always getting positive feedback by anybody who he comes in contact with.
Too, and you would think that with a background that he's had and what he's come through and seen, you could be jaded, and I don't think that he is.
I think whatever goals that Salim holds for himself, both professionally and personally, I think he'll obtain. He's the person that has shown that he finishes what he starts.
It is always necessary to leave a place better than you found it. So we came to this world, and my parents always taught me to always try to make a difference and make things better when you found them. So early on, part of my philosophy is I always need to improve and make things better in the world. When I come to work every morning, I don't think of myself as really coming to work, but every morning I come in with the same passion that, okay, I'm here this morning and what do I need to do today? What type of problems I need to solve and how can we make things better?